Hey gamers, Minus10 here. A few weeks ago, my gaming rig would only boot to the Asus ROG splash screen and it would just hang. After disconnecting my rig and checking my fan connectors and all the other plug headers, I next unseated my Nvidia 4090 GPU. And to my surprise, the 16-pin 12-volt cable plug was fried. It also appeared that a few pins on the actual 16-pin 12-volt connector on my 4090 were also toast. Now, I've been using my Nvidia 4090 since its launch in 2023 every day for around 8 to 12 hours, except for the occasional vacation or business trip. I moved over to the Nvidia GPUs several years ago because of their more advanced encoders, and I've been using Nvidia ever since the 3000 series. Sending my GPU to Nvidia for a warranty repair, well, that would require weeks, if not months, to repair. With Nvidia GPUs in very, very scarce supply today, buying a new 5090 would be a tough one on the bank account for sure. I realized my only real option was to find a repair service that I could send my GPU to and get repaired. So I Googled third-party repair sites and stumbled across Bison iFix in Buffalo, Missouri. Sending my 4090 to a third party was a bit of a daunting thought, but Bison iFix's owner called me right after I placed my order. After a few minutes, Bison iFix gained my trust, and shortly after our call, I had my 4090 boxed in its original packaging and off to the UPS store near my home. Well, I can say I'm very glad I did, as I received my repaired 4090 in a little over a week, and it's humming along once more. You know, I really want to thank you for what you did for me and my 4090 here. So warranty wasn't really an option because I didn't want to go to Nvidia and wait months and months for a repair card. When I found your shop, I thought I'd give you the opportunity. I gave you a call and you answered a few questions. So I'm glad I got my card out to you. But, tell me a little bit about Bison iFix and, how you stumbled into this business or decided to go into this business of repairing NVIDIA cards. And of course, if you do offer other services, what are some of those other repair services?
Gotcha. Yeah, so I've been in the electronics repair business pretty much my whole life. My brother was kind of an IT guy, and I kind of followed his footsteps, and so it's always been intriguing to me, electronics and how they work. So I've always been taking both stuff apart, putting it together. So for about 15 years now, I've been doing repairs, mainly computer and cell phone repairs, under other companies. And it got to a point where I was comfortable enough that I could venture off on my own. And in doing so, I've kind of expanded what I do, as far as not just doing computers and cell phone repairs from a software side. I've got more into the board level repair side. So currently, my main source of business is back-to-back repairs, kind of like what you did. You mail in your graphics card, I fix it, mail it back out. I have about 14 shops in my region that mail me in motherboards, whether it be MacBook boards, cell phone boards, other laptop boards. I fix those and send them back. That's kind of what keeps me sustainable. We're in a small town. We have I want to say we're like right at 18,000, the population of my town. So it's not a very big town, and there's not a whole lot of local business that walks in. So I knew that going into this venture. So I kind of built up the back-to-back repair side. And I advertise that really hard because that's kind of my bread and butter. That's what makes me the most money. So I can keep my doors open to the public. So I hopefully the local thing will get bigger and better, but as of right now, that's kind of what I do, is the back to back thing, like what you had done.
Cool. So you're marketing to consumers like me. I just found your business online, but then you're also selling your services to other small businesses who then feed you work as part of their business model.
Correct. Yeah. It kind of makes sense. I mean, I don't want to take away business from shops that send me work, but in the same aspect, I do the repair. I want to open it up to anybody if they want to use me. That's great. There's some people that aren't comfortable with sending a $2,000 graphics card across the United States in hopes that it'll get here and get back. So, I understand that as well. So that's where those other local shops that, are around me, that's where that comes into benefit to them.
Yeah.
I have several in Kentucky that, they're constantly sending me PlayStation 5s for HDMI repairs. And they've even told me, well, they didn't want to go the online route because they were scared they'd never get it back. So they're more comfortable walking in a store that will then
Yeah.
put it in a package, mail it to me, fix it, and mail it back. So I can see it from both ways. I try to be transparent and honest. When you called me that day, I kind of gave you the rundown on why the problems happen, and I kind of gave you an overview of how I work, and I try to have a quick turnaround time because if I'm doing it for a business, they need it quick because their customer is going to be asking them, where's this at? In return, then they have to ask me, and it just starts a whole daisy chain. So I try to turn everything over within 24 to 40 hours and get it right back out to them so that they're not waiting, their customer's not waiting. And then in return, you get a good experience if you come directly to me because it's a quick turnaround.
Yeah. That's a good point because when I found your website, I was wondering like, okay, do I trust this person? Are they going to take my card and actually return it to me? And what moved the needle for me to actually mail it to you was you called me right back after I submitted my order. So I thought that was pretty awesome. So, for specifically, my community is really focused around gaming, PC gaming, keyboards, mice. I guarantee there's quite a bit of people who watch my videos who are using Nvidia 30 series, 40 series, and 50 series who have this new 12 volt or a 16 pin 12 volt connector. Since Nvidia launched that into the marketplace, how many cards are you repairing, a week, a month on average?
On the 4090s I get two or three a week.
Wow.
On average. Sometimes a little bit more, but on average about two to three a week. I will say since they've kind of changed that connector around, and I think that's what I advised you of is a H plus connector, and they kind of went to an H plus plus connector, and that's what I put back in as an H plus plus connector. Since they've done that, it's not as much, and then also educating the customer on why that happens. Um, for instance, a lot of people have a straight connector versus an angle connector, and that puts strain on that connector, which then makes the connection not tight. So just advising the customer, get a right angled plug for that to where it's not pulling down on that connector will solve a lot of your problems. I see a lot of the ones that I've repaired when they send me a picture of it, you can see the connectors going straight in and then there's cable strain pulling down on that connector. A lot of times that's what's causing the issue. So educating the customer to get a good right angle connector for that to where the cable's not pulling strain on that connector will solve that issue along with the upgraded connector.
Got it. And you did give me that advice, and I went on Amazon. I found a right angle connector that once I did get the 4090 back, I used that, and you could tell right away with the right angle the pressure off of just a straight cable coming out of the 4090 and into the power supply. You could just see that the tension was released. So that was solid advice. And for my viewers, I'll post a link to the right angle connector that I did buy. I'm not promoting it by any stretch, but if you're looking for options based on Eric's advice, I did get a right angle connector. In regards to you mentioned the H++, and maybe you could talk a little bit about that type of technology versus, what was, I guess, the technology before.
Okay, yeah. So the H plus connector and the H plus plus connector, about the only real difference is the pin length inside the connector. The connector itself, the casing is the same. The pins are even the same diameter. However, if you compare the two side by side, the pins on the H plus plus connector are just a fraction longer, and that comes back to the cable strain thing. They figured out they were burning up. They figured out the problem was the cable strain, so they made the pin a little bit longer because there's people that aren't going to go out and buy that right angle connector to try to prevent that issue from continuing to happen. So they just extended those pins just a little bit, enough to where that cable strain, like you said, when you look at it, you can see it's actually pulling down on that connector. It maybe might not make as weak of a connection and then not burn up. So that's about the only real difference in the connectors itself is the actual pin length inside that H++ connector is just a fraction of a hair longer.
Now, the other thing that was interesting was you got my card, and then you flipped it around same day. How do you do these repairs so quickly? Is it just the connector, or sometimes do you find deeper issues in the Nvidia graphics card that make the repairs longer? Because I was surprised. You got my card and you turned it around almost same day.
Yeah, so there definitely are instances where there will be other issues besides just the connector. I've seen liquid coolers leak, corrode the board, cause capacitor damage. So, I mean, there are instances where it takes a little bit more work than just replacing the connector. Um, so, yeah, every once in a while that'll come up to where there's more than just the connector issue, and yeah, we can solve those as well. Um, as long as we can get the schematic for that particular card, because I make a lot of revisions for it. You know, a lot of times we can track down that schematic and make the repairs. Um, as far as turnaround time, I would just say it's proficiency. We try not to keep anything in the shop long, and we try to be proficient at what we do. We don't practice on customers' products, so we make sure that we're proficient at what we're fixing before we advertise it. That's what we do. We may buy a couple dead cards, know that there's a common issue with there. We may practice on those dead cards before we ever touch a customer's product, so that we're making sure that we're sending back what we fixed or better, and that we have the education to do it. So I guess proficiency is probably why we're so quick at it. Is we make sure that we're good at it before we offer the service. Um, the other thing is we try to keep everything on hand. If we notice we're getting low on something, we'll get an order in right away. A lot of these connectors we have to get from overseas.
Mhm.
There's just not a local supplier to get them. So if we notice we're running low, we'll go ahead and place an order for 100 more or whatever that quantity is that we need. Like HDMI ports, we buy them by the roll. We don't just buy 10 or 15 at a time. We buy a roll of them. That way we're never we're never backed up. We crank it out. So I guess the proficiency thing and just keeping the items on hand we need to make the repairs, even when you have those things come up like liquid damage, we try to keep a variety of SMD capacitors in stock, and other little components as well as donor boards that we can pull things from if we need it. Um, so yeah, just proficiency and having the items on hand is our biggest I think skill set there, and then what makes our turnaround quick.
Fantastic. In regards to shippers, if anybody in my community or viewers watching this video, if they do choose to work with Bison iFix, do you have a recommended shipper to work with, or any of the carriers are pretty good?
We prefer UPS or FedEx. It's been more reliable for us than anything. UPS is probably our go-to shipper, both outgoing and incoming, both for our back-to-back shops. They choose to use UPS because a lot of them are within 1 day shipping. So if they ship it ground, we get it the next day, and
Got
then
it.
I fix it, mail it back out. So it's normally a 3 to 4 day turnaround for them, depending on where they're at, if they're within that 1 day shipping zone. So that's who we prefer to use. There's also a local pickup and drop off here. So if I'm running behind, the UPS guy comes by, I can drop it off over there as long as it's before 4:30. It goes out the same day. So that helps us as well with our turnaround time is having that local access point here that we can drop things off about 4:30 and still get everybody's stuff out the same day or within 24 hours.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, Eric, again, I want to say thank you. I mean, your business definitely helped me out a lot, and I hope the gamers who do watch my channel, if they run into a similar situation with their Nvidia 16-pin connectors, I hope they'll give Bison iFix a look. And for my community, I'll post a link down below, so you've got quick access to Eric's business. So, I wanted to say, thanks again, good luck, and I hope, maybe you get a few orders from this quick interview. So, thanks a lot, Eric.
I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
So, as I mentioned at the beginning, if your NVIDIA 16-pin 12-volt connector has some problems, definitely give Bison iFix a look. I've included links to Bison's store as well as the pricing for the replacement 16-pin 12-volt connector down below. Thanks for watching.